It's 11:14 on a Sunday night and you're lying in bed doing the math again. Not because anything went wrong. Nothing went wrong. You're just lying there in the dark running the same numbers you ran last Sunday and the Sunday before that. Mortgage, car payment, student loan, groceries, trying to figure out if this is the month you finally get ahead or if you're just going to tread water again like you have been for 3 years. You know the answer. You've known the answer. But you keep running the math anyway because the alternative is accepting that this is just what life feels like now. Meanwhile, your neighbor, same street, bought around the same time, similar house, not some wildly different income, woke up last Tuesday and decided to take the week off. No crisis, no email to his manager. He just didn't feel like going in, so he didn't. And here's the thing, he's not richer than you. He's just not doing that math anymore. My name is Nick, and I spend way too much time thinking about why two people with almost identical situations can end up living completely different lives. Today, we're going to talk about something the personal finance world wildly underexplains: what actually happens to your money, your career, your brain, and your actual life the moment you make that last mortgage payment. And I promise by the end of this, that Sunday night math problem is going to look very different. Because here's the thing. Nobody tells you when you're 12 years deep into a 30-year mortgage, you don't just lose a bill when it's paid off. You lose a prison sentence you'd stop noticing you were serving. Let's start with the numbers because the math here is more brutal than most people realize, in both directions. The average monthly mortgage payment in 2025 hit $2,329, and that's just principal and interest, nothing else. For someone who bought or refinanced at current rates, $2,845 is closer to reality. Now, the median American household takes home around $5,400 a month after taxes, Social Security, and Medicare, which means on a median income, a standard mortgage payment is consuming 43% of your disposable income before you've bought a single grocery or made a single car payment. 43%. The threshold every financial professional on earth agrees on is 28%. So, most people with a mortgage are walking around 15 percentage points over the limit every month for 30 years. Congratulations, you are technically a functioning adult who has also agreed to be financially strangled in slow motion until you're 63. Here's what that actually looks like. Meet the Garkas. Dual income combined $110,000 a year, which sounds solid until you run it through what life actually costs. After federal taxes, state taxes, FICA, and a modest 401k contribution, they're taking home around $6,800 a month. Now, let's watch it disappear. Mortgage on their $380,000 house, $2,400. Property taxes, $380. Homeowners insurance, $200. Maintenance reserve because the HVAC doesn't care that it's December, $320. That's $3,300 a month just to legally occupy the building. They've got $3,500 left. Two car payments because they both commute, $800. Car insurance, $240. Gas because nothing is walkable in their suburb, $280. Student loans because those degrees didn't pay for themselves, $550. Health insurance premiums. Their employer only partially covers $380. Groceries for two people attempting to eat like adults, $700. Utilities, electricity, gas, water, internet, phones, $420. We're at $130 remaining. And we haven't touched clothing or the kids' activities or the $80 copay from last month's urgent care visit, or the dog who just started limping, or any savings or any retirement beyond that modest 401k or any concept of fun. The Garkas are not irresponsible. They don't have a boat. They've never been to Europe. They are two professional adults who did everything they were supposed to do. And every single financial decision they make, every career conversation, every request for flexibility, and every time one of them thinks about going back to school or starting something on the side, gets filtered through one silent question. Can we still cover the mortgage? That question is running in the background of their lives, like a tab they can never close. Like that tab disappears the day the mortgage is paid off. And when it does, something the Garkas can barely imagine right now happens. They start making completely different decisions. More on them in a bit. Let's talk about what actually frees up when the mortgage is gone. Because people consistently get this rang in both directions. Either they underestimate the impact or they overestimate the cash they'll have. When the mortgage payment disappears, you don't suddenly have the full amount to invest. Property taxes, insurance, and maintenance still exist. For a $400,000 home that you're looking at roughly $838 a month in ongoing costs with no mortgage. So, if your payment was $2,845, you freed up around $2,000 a month in real deployable money. Not $2,845, about $2,000, which is still, and I want to be precise here, absolutely insane in terms of what it does over time. If you take that $2,000 and put it into a basic S&P 500 index fund, earning the historical average of around 8% annually, here's what happens. In 5 years, $146,000. In 10 years, $365,000. In 15 years, $693,000. In 20 years, $1,177,000. You contributed $480,000 of your own money over those 20 years. The market contributed $697,000 on top of that, more than you put in yourself. The majority of your eventual wealth came from compound interest, not from working harder. This is the part of the mortgage payoff story. Nobody tells you in the bank's office when you're signing the 30-year paperwork. They're not going to tell you that their product is keeping you from $1 million, funnily enough. Now, before I keep going, I need to address the argument that a certain type of person in the comments is already drafting. And that argument goes, Nick, if your mortgage rate is below 5%, you're mathematically better off investing the extra money than prepaying principal. And look, that argument is not wrong. Let me give it the real version. Warren professor Michael Roberts ran the numbers on a $500,000 mortgage at 3% and found that investing excess payments in the stock market outperformed early payoff in roughly 95% historical 30-year windows. The logic is clean. A guaranteed 3% return from killing debt losses to a historical 8% return from equity. About 82% of existing mortgage holders have rates below 5% right now. So if that's you, the spreadsheet says invest the difference. Here's what the spreadsheet doesn't know. It assumes you actually invest the difference. Most people don't. They spend it. The mortgage payment was forced savings. When it disappears and gets replaced by discretionary cash, a terrifying percentage of households absorb it into lifestyle creep within 18 months and have nothing to show for it. The spreadsheet also assumes you have the psychological fortitude to watch your investment portfolio drop 40% in a market crash while you still owe $2,500 a month in mandatory payments on the house, which is a fundamentally different experience than watching the same portfolio drop 40% from a house you own outright and can stay in regardless. One scenario is uncomfortable. The other scenario is the reason people make catastrophic financial decisions under duress. And here's the thing, the invest the difference crowd never mentions. You've been making every financial decision of your adult life while carrying this debt. According to actual peer-reviewed research, debt impairs cognitive functioning in measurable ways. You have literally been making the should I pay off the mortgage or invest decision from a cognitively compromised state, so maybe weigh your own math accordingly. At mortgage rates above 7%, which is most people who bought since 2022, aggressive payoff becomes a very competitive guaranteed return that's hard to argue against. Between 4.5% and 7%, it's a genuine judgment call. Below 4.5%, invest the difference, but only if you'll actually invest it and not let it quietly become better takeout habits. The real answer, as usual, isn't a rate.